Hi, I'm Jeremy from International Sportsman. Today we're looking at the Umarex AirSaber. You know, there's never been a more exciting time to get into air archery, so if you're looking for an arrow launching rifle, be sure and stay tuned because we're going to go over all the details of this gun, see how fast it shoots, see how accurate it is, and then just look at what makes it unique in the market. Included in the box for the AirSaber are the gun itself, a scope, 3 arrows, and the quick fill valve. Now, really, this is everything you need to get shooting out of the box except for an air supply. So when I first opened up the AirSaber box, the first thing I noticed is how much like a rifle it is. So if you're used to shooting a rifle, this is going to be an easy transition for you. It's not like a crossbow that has limbs and all these other different features. It's very, very similar to a rifle. The AirSaber weighs in at 6.8 pounds. It's 41 inches overall, and it has a length of pull of 14.25 inches. Now, it can shoot a 376 grain arrow up to 450 feet per second with 169 foot-pounds of energy. So that's really fast enough to hunt anything in North America with, and even some African game. This thing is a freaking beast, and it is extremely accurate. Charging the AirSaber is very simple. It comes with an adapter that hooks up to your standard PCP line and allows you to charge it very easily using a compressor or compressed air. So you simply attach the connector to your existing line, plug it up to your air source, and then at the front the adapter slides in. One thing to note, make sure that the gun is cocked before you try to fill it. It will not fill without the gun being cocked. Umarex makes a compressor that can fill up PCPs very quickly and easily, or you can use a scuba tank like we did. Just be aware that you need to know what the max fill pressure is on your tank if you're going to use a scuba tank to fill up the AirSaber. In our testing, our tank only went up to 3,000 PSI, so we could only put 3,000 PSI into the gun. We couldn't test it at its max velocity. Even so, we got some really, really great results as far as speed and accuracy from it. So the arrows for the AirSaber are unique to the firearm. They are specifically designed to work with this gun. They're carbon fiber and they weigh 276 grains without the tip. The field tip that's included is an additional 100 grains. So you think about that, you're shooting a 376 grain arrow at over 450 feet per second. That is crazy fast. By the way, if you want to do some energy conversion there, we're talking 169 foot-pounds of energy, strong enough to take down a deer, hog, turkey, I mean even elk, right? Big game animals, no problem with this gun. Now, since we're talking about hunting though, it should be noted that a lot of states in the United States don't allow the use of air archery products during bow season, but they are allowed during rifle season, regular open general season. So be sure and check your regs because that changes. So the bolt on the AirSaber works like your regular bolt action rifle. You simply raise it up, slide to the rear, push it forward, and then push it down. Now I'll tell you that it does take a little bit more force than you're used to with a bolt gun to manipulate this, so make sure that you have a good grip on the gun. Now I would suggest loading the gun first and then cocking it so that you don't have to push an arrow down over the front of the gun while it's cocked. Umarex does include a safety on this gun. It's rather unique. It's built into the trigger, so it slides left and right. If you're a right-handed shooter, you'll find this very easy to simply push the safety with your trigger finger, and then you're ready to fire. Now, the trigger is exceptionally nice. It's a 2-stage trigger, and in our test, it came in about 2.5 pounds. So that's a really, really great trigger on this gun. Loading the AirSaber is simple. Simply make sure that it's on safe. And then if you look at the end of the barrel, you will see a gas tube. Take your Umarex arrow and slide it onto the gas tube. Make sure and push down very firmly until the arrow seats at the back of the tube. It'll stick out a few inches from the front. From there, cock the gun, take it off safe, you're ready to fire. Now another thing to note is that it has 3 Picatinny rails at the front, on the left, right, and bottom. This is great for attaching quivers, lights, or a bipod, or really anything else that uses a Picatinny rail. If you're going to be flying with the AirSaber or traveling, there's a small little screw here that when you undo that screw with an Allen wrench, it releases all of the air pressure in the tank. This allows you to completely degas the gun for travel. Just make sure and tighten it nice and tight before you go to air the tank back up. So now we're going to head to the range and take a look on how it did on velocity as well as accuracy.
Probably just a lower pressure, but that's almost center, my friend.
So something to be aware of if you're going to go to the range is that you need a 500 feet per second target. Since this can shoot up to and over 450 feet per second, you need a target that can handle at least 500 feet per second. Our targets were not rated for that, and we were blowing through it very easily. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we weren't able to fill the tank to maximum capacity. We could only fill it up to 3,000 PSI. However, with that 3,000 PSI, we were averaging about 365 feet per second. So if you look at the targets, you'll see that we had two that would group really close to each other and then a third that would be a flyer. This was due to the velocity drop. We didn't actually fill up in between these groups. We just kept shooting. We averaged about 25 shots per tank. Of course, we did see a slight velocity drop, but the reticles and the scope allowed you good holdover and not have any issues. Speaking of holdovers, after shooting at 40 yards and getting these groups, we decided to back it out to 100 yards. And after a couple of shots, we managed to stick one into the target.
Oh, yes! Skipped off the ground.
As you can see, it did skip off the ground. I think with a little bit more practice, you could pretty easily hit targets at 100 yards. So that's a look at the Umarex AirSaber. Guys, this was a lot of fun to shoot. It's very fast, very accurate, and it's actually pretty quiet. I could see that if there were a couple of deer in the field, you may be able to shoot one and then reload and then shoot another. It's that quiet, seriously. Now, I wouldn't recommend shooting it in the backyard per se, but it's borderline as far as that sound goes. We had a lot of fun testing it. We had a lot of fun using it in the field, and everybody that got a chance to play with it and look at it has really been impressed. So if you want to learn more, make sure and check out our article on International Sportsman. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We'd really appreciate that. And hit that bell and follow us right here on YouTube, and stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.